What's up everyone? The Sly and Sonic fan here, and man, PlayStation sure does have a variety of exclusive games. Maybe not as big as Nintendo's, but we've seen what happens to gaming companies that underestimate the power of exclusives. PlayStation exclusives usually turn out to be narrative masterpieces. Okay, maybe not all of them, but each of them stand out when it comes to gameplay style and genre. But since most of these games have such strong narratives, naturally the characters are very memorable. I mean, they were able to make an entire fighting game out of them. And today, I am here to count down my personal favorites. Now, this list is 100% opinionated, so if you don't agree with something on this list, feel free to make your own list in the comments. And if you want to criticize one of my points, I am more than happy to read your opinion, but please be respectful in the comments. With that said, let's begin. Coming in at number 5 is Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series. Man, what an enjoyable character. He's sarcastic and laid back, he's serious when he needs to be, and most of all, he just feels human despite how cartoony he comes off in certain scenarios. This always has been something Naughty Dog can do really well. They know just how far to push the boundaries of a narrative without coming off as too goofy and outlandish. Nathan is a really funny character, and not only that, but he's the face of the Uncharted games. So, why is he so high on this list? Well, he's a little too perfect. He's strong, smart, charming, a ladies' magnet. His only real flaw is he's a little too cocky at times, but that's never really focused on too much. Now, I'm not saying Nathan is a Gary Stu. Like I said, he's a little overconfident and makes rational/human mistakes. But I am saying he's cutting it a little close in that regard. Plus, while I am only 2 games in the series, Nathan hasn't really underwent any major development. He's still a ridiculously fun character though, and he comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is Sly Cooper. You knew he was going to be on this list somewhere. Now, one thing I want to point out is how eerily similar Sly and Nathan are. Both are good-hearted thieves, both are laid back and very sarcastic, both get serious when they need to be, and both are a little too overconfident. Even the writers of PlayStation All-Stars noticed the similarities. Now, if any of you Naughty Dog fans try to start a conspiracy, Sly came out first. So, you may be wondering, why is Sly put above Nathan Drake? Well, 1, nostalgia, obviously, and 2, yeah, no, it's just nostalgia. While I also gravitate a little towards Sly because he goes through more personal trauma, these two are literally the same character. The only difference is that one defined my childhood. Sly takes the number 4 spot. Coming in at number 3 is Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank. Everyone's favorite Lombax. Well, there's not too many to choose from. Now, I'm personally a huge fan of characters who have to overcome their own selfish instincts to rise up and become a hero. And, well, that's actually what Ratchet is. A selfish loner who turns into a selfless companion. Not only that, but similar to the first 2 picks, he's a really fun character. He's likable, brave, and has a lot of funny quips. And I also love how even after the first game concluded, Ratchet still wasn't a perfect goody two-shoes, and it wasn't until Tools of Destruction where he started getting portrayed as such. While I appreciate Rainmaker's attempts to make a different take on the character, he was admittedly not as interesting as he was in the original trilogy. And even though Ratchet is a little watered down and generic now, at least it took growth to get to that point. Yep, I love Ratchet, and I'm giving him the number 3 spot. Coming in at number 2 is Joel Miller from The Last of Us. This game somehow turns a broken shell of a man with no other motive than to survive by any means necessary into such a sympathetic and likable character. You know how I said earlier that Naughty Dog knew how to make their characters feel human? Yeah, well, Joel is as human as a video game character can get. Throughout the game, while Joel does do a few occasional good deeds, he is still a morally corrupt person, and he's meant to represent how far an apocalyptic event can break someone. He felt human. His loss of hope for humanity that later gets healed by Ellie was really fascinating and heartwarming, and the game makes you sympathize and even relate to Joel. He's a complex character that many gamers grew to care for despite some of his malicious acts, and he comes in at number 2. Coming in at number 1 is Kratos from God of War. A lot of people make memes about who is the most tragic video game character, but if you ask me, Kratos takes that slot by a long shot. In a way, he is very similar to Joel. A traumatic event that causes him to lose everything he's ever cared for turns him into a broken shell of a person. However, the difference is that there was still some humanity left in Joel. Despite how small it was, Joe wasn't necessarily an evil person by any means. But Kratos? Jesus Christ, where do I begin? Blinded by revenge and hate, Kratos goes on a killing spree throughout Greece and kills many wrongdoers as well as innocent people. His journey causes the destruction of his home, his people. And in God of War 4, he has to live with that and repress his anger and guilt to take care of his developing son. What makes Kratos so interesting is that not only is he a sympathetic man who's flat out evil, but he hates himself as much as we do by the third game. He knows he's evil, and he knows he's done horrible things, but he doesn't have anything left to live for except revenge. And to see him suffer the traumatic repercussions of doing such things in the fourth game, and to attempt to become a better person and leave that life behind, it just makes him so much more interesting. There's so much depth and complexity to Kratos that a lot of people don't see, and that's why I'm giving him the #1 spot. But what about you guys? What are your favorite PlayStation characters? Let me know in the comments below. As always, I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, then please like and subscribe. And as always, I will see you guys next time. Peace, everyone.